heard of the dry Tortugas? They're hard to get to, but sure worth the trip.
Ted Brown is about to show us in this evening's installment of Keys to Paradise.
On a map, US 1 is the line that connects the dots that are the Florida Keys. The line stops at Key West, but the dots keep going. If you want to go on connecting them, you'll need something other than wheels to do it in. From the air, you can see there are hundreds of tiny Florida Keys west of Key West. Some of them only stick out of the water at low tide. I guess you could call them Keys wannabes. Garden Key is one very solid island that's hard to miss. That's because of Fort Jefferson. Essentially, Fort Jefferson is all of Garden Key.
They started the fort in 1846. That was a very important time in our history of the country. War of 1812 had just come to an end shortly before. We were involved in massive westward expansion.
Fort Jefferson started out as a base for U.S. ships patrolling the trade routes of the Gulf of Mexico. It's a half-mile circle of bricks, all of which were brought in from somewhere else. And the answer to the most asked question about Fort Jefferson? 16 million of them. At any given time, about 500 soldiers were the most people who ever lived here at once. They never had to fight anyone. Mostly they kept busy building the fort. Maybe they didn't stay busy enough because they never finished it. Today, there are 9 occupants, all of them National Park employees.
People think that it's just isolated, remote, and it's not. If we had, the block you live on is about the same size as this fort here. If you had 37 to 40,000 people a year on your block, you wouldn't consider it remote.
Those tens of thousands of visitors come by plane and by boat, some to tour the National Monument, others just for the sun of it.
What's more fun, the fort or the beach?
The beach.
The beach.
It wasn't that pleasant a place for some former occupants. This is where they sent Dr. Samuel Mudd for setting the broken leg of President Lincoln's assassin. The fort became obsolete before it could be finished. The 8-foot-thick walls stood up fine to cannonballs, but went all to pieces once they developed the exploding projectile. But you never had to shoot at Fort Jefferson to put holes in the walls. It turned out that Garden Key wasn't as solid as engineers at first thought, and the weight of the fort is making it settle, causing big pieces of it to fall into the moat. That's the problem with some of these little Keys wannabes. You never know when wind, weather, and tide are going to make them want to be open water again. In the dry Tortugas, Ted Brown, Channel 4 Eyewitness News.
Coming up tonight on Eyewitness News Night Beat, we'll have more